As our captors had reminded us often since our arrests, we were plainclothes assassins, and as such, not even entitled to the basic protections of the Geneva Convention. So why on earth had we been allowed the luxury of a shower that morning? And why had we been given clean civilian clothes to wear, after months in the filthy outfits we'd been wearing since our capture? Why were they transporting us by passenger train, and in a luxurious private carriage, no less? This wasn't my first time transferring between prisons since my capture. I knew from bitter personal experience that the usual travel arrangement was, at best, the crowded, stuffy back end of a covered truck, or at worst, a putrid, overcrowded boxcar. But this carriage was modern and spacious, comfortable and relaxed. The leather seats were soft beneath me, and the air was clean and light in a way I'd forgotten air should be after months confined to filthy cells. "This could be a good sign," I whispered suddenly. Chloe eyed me warily, but my optimism was picking up steam now, and I turned to face her as I thought aloud. "I bet Baker Street has negotiated better conditions for us. Maybe this transfer is a step toward our release. Maybe that's why—" I nodded toward our only companions in the carriage, seated on the other side of the aisle. "Maybe that's why she's here. Could it be that she's been told to keep us safe and comfortable?" Chloe and I had had little to do with the secretary at Karlsruhe prison, but I had seen her in the hallway outside of our cell many times, always scurrying after the terrifyingly hostile warden. It made little sense for a secretary to accompany us on a transfer, but there she was, dressed in her typical tweed suit, her blonde hair constrained in a thick bun at the back of her skull. The secretary sat facing against the direction of travel, opposite the two armed guards who earlier had marched me and Chloe onto the covered truck at the prison, then from the covered truck onto the platform to join the train. The men had not introduced themselves, but like all agents with the British Special Operations Executive, I'd spent weeks memorizing German uniforms and insignias. I knew at a glance that these were low-ranking Sicherheitsdienst officers, members of the SD, the Nazi intelligence agency. The secretary spoke to the guards, her voice low but her tone playful. She held a suitcase on her lap, and she winked as she tapped it. The men both brightened, surprised smiles transforming their stern expressions. Then she theatrically popped the suitcase lid to reveal a shockingly generous bounty of thick slices of sausages and chunks of cheese, a large loaf of sliced rye bread, and— was that butter? The scent of the food flooded the carriage as the secretary and the guards used the suitcase as a table for their breakfast. It was far too much food for 3 people, but I knew they'd never share it with us. My stomach rumbled violently, but after months surviving on scant prison rations, I was desperate enough that I felt lucky to be in the mere presence of such a feast. "I heard the announcement as we came onto the carriage. This train goes to Strasbourg, doesn't it? Do you have any idea what's waiting for us there? This is all a bit—" Wendy paused, gnawing her lip anxiously. "None of it makes sense. Why are they treating us so well?" "This is the Strasbourg train," Chloe confirmed cautiously. There was a subtle undertone to those words, something hesitant, concerned. I frowned, watching her closely, but just then the secretary leaned toward the aisle. She spoke to us in rapid German and pointed to the suitcase in her lap. Had we done something wrong? More German words, but it may as well have been Latin to me, because I spoke only French and English. Just then, the secretary huffed impatiently and pushed the suitcase onto the empty seat beside her as she stood. She held a plate toward me, and when I stared at it blankly, she waved impatiently toward Chloe and spoke again in German. "What? She wants you to take it," Chloe translated for me, and I took the plate with my one free hand, bewildered. Chloe passed it to Wendy, and so on, until we all held plates in our hands. The secretary then passed us—